All right, Shalom. I want to start by giving all praise and glory unto Yahweh Shem Shabbat Shem Kakodash. Double honor to the apostles, the elders of Great Millstone. I want to do this lesson on these corporations, these corporate giants, profiting from the backs of you blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. Us as Israelites, us blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. A lot of these companies that you've seen, walk past from day to day, that you made your interactions and or firsthand worked under, they became rich off of the backs of your slavery, And majority of these jakes don't want to believe that, these Negroes are hypnotized. This modern day slavery, they call you an employee and you have an employer, or a boss. When you look up actual boss, it means a master, man, and prior to them having you in this corporate slavery, they had you in hardcore slavery. Your forefathers, and your foremothers in hardcore and servitude, bondage, shackled from ankles, to wrists, and doing servile work. Like even today, you have the chain gang where they're actually chained, and they actually, when you're working in you get a job in the penitentiary, you actually working for what, 8 cents, if that, sometimes might be lower, a little bit higher, an hour, pennies literally on the dollar what you're working for. And then you get these different these companies filthy rich. That's why even in the Constitution it speaks about, it's basically a clause within the Constitution that goes into slavery, even though it was so-called retracted, and they introduced the, basic independent Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, if I'm not mistaken, or 1865, when they established that, it was basically that clause of actually, within the Constitution, that you basically not, as a free man, if you're not convicted, then you're not a slave. But when you actually get locked up, you're in chain gang, man. That's why they call it chain gang. All right, you're chained up literally. But it says, which is a form of slavery. All right, but it says 15 major corporations you never profited from slavery. You never knew profit from slavery. I'm gonna jump to the, well, matter of fact, I'll read a little bit. The enslavement of African people in the Americas by the nation and people of Western Europe created the economic engine that funded modern capitalism. Right. And you see these devils that's filthy rich, that's living extremely high off the hog. They didn't get that way from hard work and patience. Their forefathers paved the way. Their forefathers literally blew open the doors. They came with a gun and an ambition to build this kingdom up, man. And what do they call it? Manifest destiny. They actually had the papacy, backing them. The ones in Portugal at the time, when you're dealing with that American history. You had the rest of the European constituents that actually were pro-slavery, whether it was the Spaniards, the British, the Dutch. You have these different slave trades. You have, of course, the transatlantic. You have the Dutch slave trade. You got so many different slave trades where they were actually trading you jakes and actually help, actually engineer, like it says, this economic platform that these devils sit high on today, and you sitting very low, going into the curses of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. All right, it says, therefore, it comes as no surprise that most of the major corporations that were founded by Western European and American merchants prior to roughly 100 years ago benefited directly from slavery. And you have, starting off with the Lehman Brothers. I'm going to go down to the little bit Aetna. And I heard of, Aetna is still a policy insurance. I think I actually have Aetna, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to read a little bit on Aetna. It says, the United States' largest health insurer apologized for selling policies in the 1850s that reimbursed slave owners for financial losses when the enslaved Africans they owed died. Right, so you jakes could get insurance on you. You being a product of the devil, when these white people would file their taxes, you would basically be in the file code. That's why, They even give you a birth certificate. They give you a social security. They give you all these numericals so that they could actually use you within the system. But now you can actually file for yourself and pay taxes, which is a whole nother style of slavery. All right. When the scriptures speak about tributaries, individuals that had to pay tribute unto the king, they were slaves under him. But continuing on, Aetna has long acknowledged that for several years shortly after its founding in 1853 that the company may have ensured the lives of slaves, said Aetna spokesman Fred LeBerg in 2002. We express our deep regret over any participation at all in this deplorable practice. You got J.P. Morgan has recently admitted their company links to slaveries, which is these are big companies, man. These aren't no little $300,000, $1 million a year companies, man. These are some of the biggest companies, whether in the United States or other parts, man. Other parts, some in Britain, some in Europe. A lot of them own slaves too. But New York Life Insurance Company is the largest mutual life insurance company in the U.S. So this it's the largest, and it has to be one of the oldest. They also took part in slavery by selling insurance policies on enslaved Africans. According to USA Today, evidence of 10 more New York Life slave policies comes from 1847 account book kept by the company's Nats Miss Agent W.A. Britton. Yeah, and this is the nature of the devil, man. And then you Jakes, you be working in these different companies, and it's starting. Myself, I'm pretty sure, which really the job I work is it doesn't have that type of background of starting off putting Jakes in slavery or whatnot. I work for Issachar, but you'll work certain jobs, that might actually be a little bit honest, but they be smaller companies. But these big giants, man, these conglomerates, they became extremely rich, filthy rich from the backs of you Jakes, man. A lot of these colleges and fraternities actually not fraternities, excuse me. A lot of these colleges and educational institutions, whenever they started, it was off of the backs of slaves, and it was really to recreate you and reprogram you. That was the purpose of a lot of those institutions, and you'll see Jake bragging about the college because of what they got the degree, or they got certain diplomas within the field of the area that they worked in, and then they actually hold that as valuable, But it says, of course, like I said, Wachovia, the corporation now owned by Wells Fargo. So Wells Fargo, which basically is the remake of Wachovia. These companies are reinventing themselves too. That's the thing about Esau. Esau could break his whole company down, file his necessary chapters, and resurge within a new name and a new identity. The scriptures speak about him being a fugitive and a vagabond. He knows how to just run from the prophecy. That's why they don't call themselves Edomites today. They go into all these different false nicknames. They wear a lot of different faces, man. And I'm gonna jump into some of these scriptures, but it says N&M Rothschild and Sons Bank in London was linked to slavery. Well, that's pretty obvious. The Rothschilds are some of the biggest. It was Meyer Rothschild. So I'm gonna read that. It said the company that was once one of the biggest names in the city of London, previously undisclosed links to slavery in the British colonies. Documents seen by the Financial Times have revealed that Nathan Meyer Rothschild, the banking family's 19th century patriarch, made his first personal gains by using enslaved Africans as collaterals in dealing with a slave owner. Right, so he used you. And like I said, these Jakes would look up to all these different rich. They be wanting to party with them. They would like to go to these different individuals' houses that made billions of dollars. They made billions of dollars off of your ass, man. You'll see these houses like Bill Gates' house, and you see how plush it is. And Jake wanted to do a walkthrough, and they would like to chill with Bill Gates and interview Bill Gates. Like MG's using him as an example. But these devils, man, that actually have all this money at their disposal, they robbed the world. They literally robbed the world for its wages, man. Norfolk Southern also has history in the slave trade. You know, so whether it was actual train companies, you know, whether it was actual institutions, all of them basically profited and became filthy rich off of the backs of you blacks, you Latinos, and also you Native Americans. Um, so I'm gonna jump into the scripture, Zechariah 11:5, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, and they that sell this, the say, blessed be the Lord, find rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. Right. So the possessors with the one who possesses us, the so-called white man, you know, and that's in the law. It says when you basically steal a man and be caught in your hand, then that man shall basically be put to death. You know, he has to give back. You know, and this devil didn't never give back, didn't never restore us into the Most High. That's why, which I'm gonna get that in the law. You know, Scripture says an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. You know, and he literally plucked out some of our forefathers' eyes, plucked out some of our forefathers' teeth. You know, and he has to pay. All right, that's retribution. That's actual true justice. Exodus 21:1. If men strive in a hurt, or woman, well, I'll just jump to it. And if any mischief follow, then thou shalt give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, strife for strife. You see that? And that's the law of justice. So the white man took our eyes out, took our teeth out. You know, they said the actual George Washington actually had Negro teeth in his mouth, man. Who's going to pay for that? He didn't have to pay. And this country is founded off of the founding fathers, which they owned slaves. Your actual presidents owned slaves and became rich. And their children and their children that's living actually filthy rich. That's why it also tells you, matter of fact, I'm going to end it with this one. Isaiah 14:21. Because this is the big payback, man. It's time for the big payback of you devils. Isaiah 14:21. Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land. See, those are the ones that possess or slay us. And now we have to get to the point through the Spirit, they don't possess nothing. That's why we're going to take everything, including their land, you know, which is their landmark, nor fill the faces of the world with cities. You see? So this devil can't populate. Scripture says if the wicked are multiplied just for the sword. The Lord is going to start cutting you whites, you Edomites, and you other nations down, because y'all became filthy rich also, man. You know, let's talk about that. You Arabs in the Arab slave trade, you East Indians, you know, you all profit out the backs of us blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. So it's time for you devils to pay, man. You know, and the Lord is going to come back and bring heavy, heavy, heavy judgment. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, man. You know, so I want to end it by giving all praise and honor and glory unto Yahweh, Shema, Shah, by Shema, Kakodash, double honors to the apostle, elders of great millstone. Shalom, Makim.